Have you ever wondered how far compassion can truly go? In a world often divided by culture, race, and religion, how do we reach across these barriers to extend unconditional kindness? Today, let me take you to a dusty road in ancient Israel, where a simple, unexpected act of compassion changes everything. This is the story of the Good Samaritan, perhaps one of the most profound parables Jesus ever told. Our journey begins in 1st century Israel under Roman occupation. The air is thick with tension and distrust, not only between locals and their Roman rulers, but also within the communities themselves. Religious groups had built walls of separation, cultural, social, and spiritual. Among Jewish people, the Samaritans were viewed with disdain, seen as outcasts and outsiders. But now, picture this. Jesus is sitting on a hillside, surrounded by a diverse crowd of followers, disciples, Pharisees, seekers, skeptics. They hang on his every word, curious, inspired, and perhaps even a little uncomfortable. It is here that Jesus is posed with a question by a scholar of the law. "Teacher," the man asks, "what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus, as he often does, answers with a question of his own. "What does the law say? How do you read it?" And the scholar replies with verses every devout Jew knows by heart. "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, strength, and mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." "You have answered correctly," Jesus says. "Do that, and you will live." But the scholar, looking to justify himself, asks, "And who is my neighbor?" And so, Jesus begins to tell a story that will challenge their understanding of who truly belongs within their community. "Imagine this," Jesus begins, his voice calm yet filled with authority. "A man was traveling from Jerusalem to Jericho, a steep, winding road notorious for danger. Thieves lurked in the shadows, waiting for unwary travelers to pass. And sure enough, this man fell into their hands. They stripped him, beat him, and left him half dead on the side of the road." The crowd leans in closer, the imagery vivid in their minds. "Now," Jesus continues, "by chance, a priest was going down that same road. Surely the priest, a servant of God, would stop and help. Yet when he saw the man, lying there, bloodied and helpless, he crossed to the other side and kept walking." A murmur ripples through the audience. A priest, failing to help? Jesus' story is already challenging their expectations. And then, Jesus says, a Levite, a member of the priestly tribe, someone deeply committed to religious law, also came along. But when he saw the man, he too passed by on the other side. The tension rises among Jesus' listeners. Could this be true? How could two religious men turn away? "Finally," Jesus says, his tone now tinged with something deeper, something transformative, "a third man came along, the unlikeliest of all. He was a Samaritan." At the mention of the Samaritan, a hush falls over the crowd. The word itself sparks disdain in many hearts. Yet Jesus continues, undeterred. This Samaritan, when he saw the wounded man, was filled with compassion. He went to him, bandaged his wounds, poured on oil and wine to disinfect and soothe. Then he placed the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and cared for him overnight. The next day he took out coins, 2 denarii, enough for days of care, and gave them to the innkeeper. "Take care of him," he said, "and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense." The crowd is captivated, stunned into silence. Jesus looks intently at the scholar who asked the question, his eyes full of both challenge and invitation. "Now, which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The scholar hesitates, his answer almost stuck in his throat. Finally, he says, "The one who showed him mercy." And Jesus, with a gentle yet profound conviction, replies, "Go and do likewise." Let's take a moment to reflect on this story together. The priest and the Levite represent two figures deeply engrossed in the religious life of their time. They knew the scriptures, followed practices, and were widely respected for their positions. Yet when faced with an opportunity to live out the most basic commandment, loving your neighbor, they failed. Why? Perhaps it was fear, unwillingness to become unclean by touching a possibly dead body, or concern for their own safety. The Samaritan, on the other hand, had every reason to pass by as well. Cultural and religious hostility between Jews and Samaritans ran deep, and yet he did not see labels, but a human being in desperate need. His compassion crossed boundaries of nationality, religion, and prejudice. This parable challenges us. It asks us to look within. Who are our Samaritans? Who do we struggle to see as our neighbor? Oftentimes, our concept of neighbor shrinks to include only those who think, look, and act like us. But Jesus' story broadens the definition to include everyone. Yes, even those we'd prefer to exclude. And did you notice something fascinating? The Samaritan's compassion wasn't just a fleeting feeling. It was active. He got his hands dirty. He used his resources. He sacrificed his time and money for someone who could never repay him. Love, as Jesus teaches, is not just a sentiment. It's action. It's inconvenient. And it's costly. More than that, this story reflects the heart of God. For isn't God like the Good Samaritan? Time and again, he comes to us in our brokenness, when we're bruised and abandoned by the side of life's road. He lifts us up, tends to our wounds, and offers us a place to heal and be restored. No label or division is too great to keep him from extending his love to us. So what does this mean for us today? Right now, in your own life, who is someone you can show kindness and mercy to? Perhaps it's a friend, a family member, or even a stranger. Perhaps it's someone you'd rather avoid. Compassion, as the story of the Good Samaritan shows us, knows no boundaries, and you too can be someone who reaches across those divides. Friend, let me leave you with this reminder. Every single day offers us opportunities to be good Samaritans. The question is, will we take them? Will we see the person in front of us not as an other, but as someone loved by God? Will we be people who act with compassion, no matter how inconvenient it may be? Remember the words of Jesus, engraved now in our hearts. Go and do likewise. Let's go out and transform our world, one act of kindness at a time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more stories from the Bible. Until next time, stay blessed.